Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
We're going to talk about the Eternals because the poor Eternals is being review bombed on IMDb.
Yeah, not really.
Not really. We're going to talk about this because there's been some discussion now. This does seem to be, I would say, a marketing ploy.
Just all the negative comments, and then they give you examples of these negative comments that are supposed to be so, against LGBTQ people. Wait till you see what the comments are. And then those ones all got removed, but they left the two positive ones up that were there.
Yeah, I think Disney's PR department, their spin doctors, Mickey's spin doctors, are going into overdrive to try to salvage this movie because it's not just being panned by the audience. The movie hasn't been released yet, right? The critics don't like it. 61% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is, middling, but it is the worst reviewed Marvel movie. So there's a lot of panic at the House of Mouse, I think, because they're like, oh crap, we've already had, taken a hit on Marvel this year with Black Widow and pandemic, and now this one's getting blasted. The spin
usually is, it's a bunch of haters, right? You're racist, you're istophobic, you hate gay people, whatever. That's the spin they usually do. So we're seeing these reviews supposedly were taken down because they were like bombing it, review bombing it. No, there is review bombing going on, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And they took down all of the comments except for two. In fact, this movie wasn't even released yet. Well, they left two positive comments up. I would think they would block all the comments then until time to release it.
Yeah, we'll talk about this. This stinks.
Well, I'm just saying,
this is weird.
They're already case building to use it as if you don't like this movie, it's because deflection, not because our movie sucks, even though the trailers were boring as shit. The reviews coming in from people who, are the media who usually show for them are not very good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
The reviews have been pretty consistent. It has nothing to do with the LGBTQ plus representation. Nearly everybody who's seen the movie said it's bloated and boring as hell. And that's not what people want to see in a Marvel movie.
Even the fresh ratings sometimes have negative stuff in it. I don't know how the list is fresh with that comment.
I think there's some money changing hands. There's definitely something going on because we did another video on this the other day, and some of those tomatoes weren't so fresh. They were like, movie. Basically, it's like, the cinematography's good. Well, that's a tomato, but the rest of the movie's garbage. It's a trash movie with good cinematography.
It's fresh.
That's fresh. We'll take it. So they're definitely trying to save this movie, and of course, it's 2021. So the thing to do is be like, you just hate gay people.
But people are onto it now, and they're like, bullshit. So before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Over 238,000 subs. Woo!
There you. Wow. That was a woo.
That was a woo.
That was a woo. Where's the who?
I don't feel like it today. It's just a woo today.
It's Friday. It's just a woo. Anyway, we do talk about pop culture, talk about movies, talk about Disney, having worked in and around the company.
This is all of them.
This is all of them, and this is a controversy around the Marvel movies, especially when it came to Captain Marvel and Rotten Tomatoes, and if you don't like a Hollywood movie, it's usually because you're the wrong kind of person. In fact, one of the stars of the movie, there's so many characters I don't even know who's who. I'm gonna call this guy Joe because I don't know. They all look like this is Joe, this is Ted, maybe he's James. This is Ted,
or Kyle.
Kyle, James. She could be Ted. Whatever. It's 2021, right? She's Ted. So this is Kumail Nanjiani, I think his name is, coming out and saying, look, we're upsetting all the right people. But then you go to the tweet and he took it down. He took it down because, Disney might have been like, stop.
They'll tell people to stop then. But they'll let other things go on and people get harassed. Okay, so the article it started out from was this article. And I can't wait to read this to you because it is so full of shit. It's laughable. I mean, somebody needs to flush it. It's just stinking up the place. Anyway, so
flush these.
I'm taking my jacket off for this one.
There you go. Rotten Tomatoes. That is Clownfish TV, trusted media outlet, trusted media source. That is our official review. Flush it.
Well, I haven't seen the movie, so I can't say that to be fair.
They'll give it a tomato for that.
They probably will flush it.
Yeah.
It was so great. You want to save her. Anyway, so Marvel's Eternals gets review bombed for LGBTQ plus relationship. Okay, this article is so ridiculous. Klein, that's his real name, his or her. Kleinfeld. If it is, I'm sorry.
It's all like Seinfeld.
Marvel's Eternals is about to make its theatrical debut, and anticipation is high. The upcoming MCU, I should have done it that way. The upcoming MCU epic has gotten largely positive reviews. Where has it gotten largely positive reviews?
Yeah, okay.
Sure. You know, if you look at we'll look at the reviews in a minute again, but largely positive. No, it hasn't, Klein. With press members praising the film for its ensemble cast, time-spanning story. It's the vocal minority. Time-spanning story and overall impact on the greater canon. Most people are like, it's not an MCU movie. It's boring as hell. It's like, it's cool they're trying to do something different, but it doesn't fit in the MCU. No, they're not praising it for these things, Klein. You are full of the crap that needs flushed. Anyway, Eternals has been touted by Kevin Feige and director Chloe Zhao as the first true love story in the franchise. Wait, that's your selling point for the Eternals? People want to go see a Marvel movie to watch people, heroes fight stuff and mess shit up. And you're thinking it's the first true love story in the franchise?
Between who? There's like 54 people on the team.
It's Kyle and the one girl next to him, I believe. While the headline relationship is Cersei and Icarus, it's already turning heads. The emotional happenings of Tyree? Henry's
Fast. Wow.
I don't even know how to say that name. I'm sorry.
Brian.
Okay, Brian. That has captured the attention of a large swath of fans. No, it hasn't. Because from my understanding, it's so minor in the movie that it's not that big a deal. And you know what? You know who else didn't mention any of this stuff? The people reviewing it.
Wait, the guy's name is Fast Toss. Okay.
I don't know.
His
Marvel character, the first openly gay hero to grace the screen the MCU. He's in a long-time relationship with another man on Earth and is forced to leave his partner to rejoin the Eternals to take on dastardly deviants. Exactly. And while talk on his character has been plentiful alongside the other romantic firsts that will be seen in the project, some are not happy with the direction Marvel Studios seems to be taking. Okay, this is where it gets fun. And now because of it, they were hit by early review bombers due to its inclusion of a gay kiss and now LGBTQIA plus representation in the film. Actually, no one's really mentioned that at all.
You know what? I vaguely remember, I'm going to be honest, I vaguely remember them saying something about this movie having
I do too,
a gay
but it wasn't one of their main points.
Vaguely, because Disney's representation is, oh, look, those two guys were standing next to each other for about 30 seconds because China.
But you know what? Well, yeah, because China. You know what's funny about this? The reason it's not getting a lot of attention is because no one thinks anything of it. No one cares, which is what's supposed to be the goal, right? Okay, so, but then they're mad because not everybody's falling all over it for that reason.
So this just shows, this just blows the lid off this whole thing. It's like, what? Nobody's outraged because nobody cares. Let's create some outrage. Let's get some fake outrage.
Wait till you see these horrible anti-diversity LGBTQIA plus, I never can remember what's what, tweets or messages or reviews, whatever the hell we're talking about. Okay. So here's the review. The act of review bombing takes place when any group swarms to online reviewing forums and leaves unfounded, low reviews. No, au contraire. It doesn't mean just that. You can review bomb to the positive too, which we're going to prove is going on here as well. Low reviews given a movie as a form of protest towards something in the film they question it says or does. Or maybe it just sucks. Maybe the movie's just bad. Maybe people just don't like it.
The critics are review bombing it on Rotten Tomatoes.
I know. It's horrible. They're all istophobics.
Trusted media.
In most cases, those participating haven't even watched the movie that they're reviewing so harshly. I have comments.
We are getting people, I'll tell you, we are actually getting people in the comments on our Eternals videos. Again, brand new accounts.
Clearly didn't watch what we said.
Do you guys ever talk about movies that you've seen, or do you just talk about movies that haven't been released yet?
Do you ever like watch the videos you're complaining about, or you just like to make comments? So I guess the review bombing us.
And it's like the same thing. It's like a broken record.
Well, here are these horrible,
Okay.
clearly trying to tank it for representation reasons. Reviews. Here's what one of the reviews that were moved was said: if woke and mediocre would be given a medal, this would win. Come on, Marvel. This was cheap even for you. Such a crappy movie like this could be done only with Angelina Jolie and her style of making amendments to movies. Not watchable at all. So the movie is mediocre and it's woke. You know, woke does not just mean gay people, right? Nothing is in there mentioning about the kiss. Nothing in there's mentioning any of that.
Yeah, I mean, this is always the go-to. Always. I mean, this is what's so predictable. It's like if you don't like a corporate product, you hate gay people, you hate black people,
They're
you
already
hate
trying.
Diversity, you hate blah, blah,
They're already
blah,
trying
blah,
to
blah.
spin this down the same road they've
Yeah.
spun everything else,
Yep.
that if you don't like it, it's because you're a shitty person. Well, I guess there's a lot of reviewers out there that are shitty people. Sucky, totally unrecognizable from the comics. All it does is tick all the Hollywood woke boxes, which seem to be the goal, not storytelling. But that's Hollywood surprising these days. Don't waste your money. It's not worth it. Again, nothing there says, I hate gay people.
So even you know, the reviews are trying to use to support their case, don't support their case, saying it's unrecognizable from the comics, which it is. I mean, if you held the comic book up to the movie, you'd be like, what the hell is, like, I'm like, what is this? It's just a bunch of people in spandex. This is not eternal. Piss. People in super suits.
Okay, and then they have since removed the negative reviews. Okay, I want to point this out. They've removed the negative reviews. So anything that had negativity was removed.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because they were out there, being, against LGBTQ plus people. No, they were just negative, as you see. Negative comments. You go out there now, there are 2 comments left. Both 8 out of 10. Now, the good comments get left, but the negative ones get removed? I mean, that seems weird, doesn't it? How is that fair?
Latrine.
Yeah, amen. Latrine is about right. So you get back to this, and they left the good ones up. They left those up. They took all the negative ones down. So they established this. And they're going on about review bombing. Let's look at this, shall we? Here are the list of weighted average for this movie. 10 stars, 54.1% on a movie that they're saying they can't review because it hasn't come out yet. And then down here, well, look, all these 1 stars, 26.1%, 450 votes. You do know this right here is review bombing as well.
No, it's not, because you're saying nice things.
You're trying to artificially manipulate the review, and the score is review bombing. So all these 10s are review bombing as much as 1s are review bombing. And there's a hell of a lot more 10s for a movie that's not even out yet. And all the comments that were negative, because they're just attacking people for being gay. No, they weren't. They were saying the movie was shit, which is what the stupid critics are saying.
This should show you. I mean, look, if the Captain Marvel situation was enough to show you how fake a lot of this shit is.
How much did the studios spend to manipulate the numbers?
Yeah, now I think they're not spending as much as they would have on Bob Iger's watch, but they're definitely manipulating. They're trying to save this movie because we're talking, it's going to cost them hundreds of millions of dollars if people don't turn up to see it because the reviews are bad and the word of mouth is bad.
Well, I would not put it past them to deliberately go and give things negative reviews and try to bring things into it like racism and bigotry and hatred and all that stuff into the comments. Posing as other accounts with like these new accounts or no-name accounts or whatever. So they can say, oh my God, look at all the hatred. We have
to support this movie because of all the hatred.
If you don't like it, so then we have a reason to dismiss you. But the reason for dismissing these people isn't even a fair reason. Because they're like, woke does not just mean gay. I don't know why. It's like diversity doesn't just mean women. These people don't grasp that, there's a lot of meanings to these words. It doesn't mean what they want it to mean for that particular article. But they're like, it's not a stretch that these review bombers need to find something a little more productive to devote their time to. Or maybe a little more productive than devote your time to something like this shitty article.
I said, surely there's legitimate criticism to be levied against it, but judging from everything that has been said and shown so far, LGBTQIA plus representation, the film looks to be in the right hands. They never bring it up.
Nobody's brought it up.
Where are they shitting
Not
on gay
even
people?
in the comments. Even in the reviews by the people who've seen it, the media. not anybody has brought it up to the positives or negative. They don't really talk about it much.
The only positive, the only time I even realized that there was LGBTQ plus relationships in the movie was when somebody's like, well, basically the movie's a steaming pile of shit, but at least they got the representation right. There was a review out there like that. Like, well, at least there's some representation, but the movie's pretty shitty.
Yeah, so I'm like, so this person is pissed because people are giving negative reviews, and by negative reviews saying woke, it means you're making fun of gay people. And that's not what it means. It means they're pushing a lot of shit with this movie. And it's not gonna work because if it was another movie, it wasn't part of the MCU, it might work. You made a movie about in the MCU, supposedly, as part of the MCU, people have a certain expectation with MCU films. You can't make an art house movie in the MCU. It doesn't work. I'm sorry.
This is exactly why Warner Brothers pulled the plug on New Gods, because they were going to do New Gods with was it Ava DuVernay, the woman who did Wrinkle in Time. This is exactly what New Gods would have been.
Oh, well, I'll read this last sentence, this last part here, this last paragraph. These reviews have not all been glowing. Wait a minute. You said they were predominantly fantastic. But none have mentioned a legitimate concern regarding gay representation in Eternals, because most people don't have a problem with it, and none of the comments you pulled said that either. They never said specifically, "I hate gay people. I'm mad about the gay representation." None of those comments you highlighted said that.
I haven't even. I mean, this is one of those things where it's like it was really downplayed. Honestly, probably that angle was downplayed by Disney because they're hoping to get this movie into China.
Probably.
So they probably downplayed it because I barely remember. They're like, I mean, there's 15 people, 24, 32 people on the damn team. One of them's probably gay.
Who cares?
Who gives a shit? I don't even know their names. I don't care, except for Fast Toss. Now we know Fast Toss.
I'm just like, this is stupid because, I think it's done right then. If people aren't making a big deal about it or noticing it, that means that I guess something's being done right because it's like, oh, okay, whatever. But then they're mad that when you're like, oh, okay, whatever. I thought the point was acceptance and just like, okay. And then they don't get that, or they don't get like all kinds of accolades for it. They're like, how dare you?
Because people are over it. They are over it. They're over the stupid tactic. Like it worked 5 years ago because people were stupid and they were naive. The plebs.
They know
like,
what you're doing.
I don't want to be an awful person. I better go see this movie to support it.
Then they go on here, some of the reviews. The overwhelmingly glowing reviews, right? 61% Rotten Tomatoes. We are like just a couple percents away from being rotten at this point. A Marvel epic that values personal connection over spectacle. Oh, that's going to bring the audience in. I can't wait to go to the MCU movie that's all about personal relationships and not about kicking ass.
I love how they have these characters on Happy Meal. And the poster for the Happy Meal, they're all scowling. They're either scowling or they look really bored. I'm like, yeah, that's going to bring the kids out.
Oh, wait. Sorry, adrenaline junkies, but that's what Oscar-winning indie director Chloe Zhao brings to her first blockbuster. This is not going to be a blockbuster. It's a lackluster. And, people go to MCU movies because they expect a certain thing. Probably changing formula like this was not a good idea.
The result is uneven, but memorably inclusive and unique. He's afraid to say the movie sucks.
That review was today. And these were all today after the other shit was out there yesterday.
But look at this. Even these positives are not glowing. In the end, the movie was reliably entertaining, as the MCU is, but the concept of Eternals is a lot more interesting than the execution of Eternals. That's not a positive.
It's ugly, charisma-free, dour, overlong, exposition-heavy, patronizing, and worst of all, it has none of the heart even fainted at in the least successful films within the MCU canon.
Patronizing? That's hate speech. How is he allowed to be a critic? That's hate speech. You take that back. You just hate representation, Nick.
It's pretty clear that Zhao's empathy for unaffected performers rambling in lingering magic hour landscapes has won the day. Here's a list of things not to do if you want to make Marvel movies that will not be mocked until Tony Stark returns to life.
Oh my! You know what though? That I'm wondering if that isn't going to be like Disney's Hail Mary pass. If Phase 4 doesn't work the way they think it's going, and I don't think it's going to work, I think it's going to be all over the damn place. Be like, fine, how much does Robert Downey Jr. want $100 million a movie. We'll do another Iron Man movie. We'll bring him back.
Yeah, because that's what people want. For viewers with an interest, this is fresh, in theology and the repackaging of same as superhero subtext for the masses, this is compelling stuff. But for those who expect a tightly wound Marvel machine, this isn't that.
How is that positive?
Fresh. Marvel's Eternals takes an intriguing turn towards the grown and sexy, but doesn't hit the thrilling action heights of peak MCU.
These are not positive reviews. These are not positives.
Meant to be Shakespearean in tone, but it's too often blocked like Shakespeare in the Park.
Oh, I thought it said too often comes off like South Park.
It takes a special San Francisco Chronicle. It takes a special kind of movie anti-magic to make an entire audience indifferent to the potential destruction of the planet and the elimination of all life on Earth. Eternals manages it.
San Francisco Chronicle. You know, there are a lot of gay people in San Francisco.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Oh, here, Slate.
I'm just saying.
Slate. Zhao, a woman, is that a woman? I think it's a woman. A director whose previous 3 films have all centered on the everyday lives of working class rural outsiders, seems ill-suited to a movie to this scale and frankly uninterested in the fight scenes. Are there fight
scenes?
Yes. I'm sorry. This movie is not being review bombed because of diversity and inclusion. It's being reviewed poorly because it flippin' sucks. I mean, imagine, we've been calling it, just by the trailers, it looked boring as fuck. Sorry, Mom, but I'm really not sorry. It looked like shit.
I don't know what this movie is about. If I had not read the synopsis, all I'm getting from the trailers, a bunch of random people standing around on the beach, talking about family problems and shit, wearing bad super suits. I don't even know what the movie's about.
The most unique in the MCU universe, Eternals adds the largest dimension of new mythology in the universe expansion to any film before it. Eternals offers a totally unique Marvel experience, saturated in emotion and delivered on a grandstanding scale. Right, because that's what I want when I want to go see a Marvel movie. I almost want to go, look, it's all about my feels. It's got to get me in the feels.
Well, you can't get too touchy-feely because then all the man babies come out and they complain on IMDb.
But I'm like, but this is where I'm at. They can't get the negative critic responses removed. But they've already gone out and tried to paint a picture. Now, we don't know what all the posts were that were put on IMDb before.
Yeah.
It could have been some ones that, were saying about that, but you'd think if they did, they would have put those in the article. Like to prove their point, instead of just mention these woke ones. So it seems to me like because they had a shit vid, IMDb removed those comments because it hasn't even been out yet. Well, they left the 2 good ones up. Why don't you just remove all of them then?
It's like court. I could just see like somebody from Disney like reading those reviews and be like, objection! They haven't seen the movie yet.
Well, the people that gave good reviews said they saw it. But how could they see it if other people couldn't see it? You know what I mean? Like the only good reviewers are the ones that saw the movie. So if you give a bad review, it's because you didn't see it yet. I'm like, there are so many flaws here. It's absolutely effing ridiculous. You know what? You're better off just to put it out there, say, hey, yeah, we missed the mark. It's a stinker. I'm sorry. Take responsibility and fucking move on. I'm tired of this shit where instead of taking responsibility for your own bad work, you instead paint everyone else as bad people. I'm sorry. If your movie sucks, it sucks. And we haven't seen it yet, I'm not going to watch it. I'm bored to hell from the trailers.
This is the first MCU movie, I think, that we won't go to the theater to see.
I don't know. I'll watch it even at home.
Even if it was available at home, I wouldn't watch it. Ever since the first trailer dropped, like we're like between the two.
Like, what the hell is this?
Shang-Chi and Eternals were like, at least Shang-Chi looks like it might be somewhat
I actually wanted to see that one.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to see it.
We went opening weekend and we reviewed it fairly. We said, hey, it's not the worst.
It's not bad.
It's not the best, but it was okay. It was all right.
This looks like a dumpster fire.
Yeah,
and I have no desire to see it. And neither does anybody else. And they have been trying. And we've been calling it for months. Like, the response to it has been lackluster and shit. And they keep trying to spin it like, oh my God, it's the most amazing thing ever. Everybody's so excited about it. But they weren't excited about it.
Nobody was excited about this movie.
And then the critics are shitting on it. And they can't do anything about their scores. So instead, they're going to go find any other scores given to it that are negative and try to remove those. I'm like, just own it. You did a shitty movie. I'm sorry. It looks worse for you to try to silence people and then immediately, well, that's because they're horrible people. No, it's because you have a horrible movie. It doesn't fit the MCU. It might even be a good movie. It's not an MCU movie. Your audience is one thing. Audiences expect one thing. You're giving them something completely different. It's more of an art housey type, movie and not the MCU.
Well, this is probably what the MCU is going to be going forward. I mean, I'm kind of looking for. Now, here's the thing. I'd say I'm looking forward to Spider-Man, but now there are some leaks. I guess it's been screened for some people,
really?
And they said there are some like major plot holes, and it doesn't like it sounds good on paper. Like this is going to be the end game for Spider-Man, but they said the execution is
lacking,
not good. So I'm like, shit. So maybe it's over. Maybe just Marvel's over, guys. It's over.
I don't know.
Call Robert Downey Jr. back. They'll call him up when he's like 65 and be like, hey.
Did anybody think Phase 4 is going to go well?
No.
When you saw what they were saying, what the mandates were. I mean, and the thing is, it's not fair. It's really not fair. Besides not being fair to the audience, it's not fair to people that, like women or minorities or people that aren't white or, it's not fair to them because they're kind of given shitty things to work with. Because they're trying to, because of mandates and we have to push diversity and inclusion. And then they give them really shitty things to work with that are really like, ham-fisted and terrible. And then people associate negativity with this. And it's not doing them any favors either. You could have given them Eternals could have been a really good movie who happened to have a diverse cast.
I mean, just think about how ridiculous. If it had been like the comics, the Jack Kirby drawn comics, like they could have gone batshit crazy with like over the top action, like because space in Marvel should be crazy. That's in the comics. It was always like really wild.
That's why people bought them.
That's why people like the Guardians of the Galaxy, movies. I think because it did kind of get that Marvel space vibe to it. And even I mean, I know people were split on Thor Ragnarok, but it did get the look right, like the crazy ass Marvel cosmology look. And I expected that from this, and just got people standing around on the beach. It's not exciting.
You guys did it. You made bad choices, and she was a really bad choice for us. She might be good at other movies. This movie and the MCU does not fit her style. You're trying to make it into something it's not, and it's not going to work. And you spent a decade plus growing this audience to expect certain things, and now you're telling them, well, you have to like this or you're a bad person. And what did you think was going to happen? Just out of curiosity.
People were going to just lap it up because it had Marvel slapped on it.
Yeah, it's not working anymore.
Yeah.
People expect to have things that they expect. And I'm sorry if you don't like it. Cry me a fucking river. You're going to lose money. I'm sorry. But, telling everybody else they're haters and they're terrible people if they don't like it, enough's enough. And I won't stand for it anymore because I'm sick and tired of it.
So it was very, very appropriate choice of song in the trailer, The End of the World. Because it feels like we're winding down people's interest in just anything Marvel. It used to be like anything Marvel. The reason Captain Marvel got a pass was, it's a Marvel movie. We have to go see it. Now it's like,
Well, yeah, it felt like you had to see it to watch the last Avengers film. But, and then even then, the numbers weren't what they said they were.
Nah.
We've already seen them cheat and try to make changes to rules and everything else for certain people or characters, or people are over it. They're on to you. It's not working anymore. Just stop.
Gonna wrap it up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.